Hello, hello. This is Frances Herdis, back from the summer months and a little summer break, and about to go live for you every day again. I set myself a new 90-day challenge, going live for you here every day. What kind of challenge have you set for yourself for this autumn? Over the years of running my own business, in the beginning of 2014, I officially started it. But like everything, it needs a little bit of preparation. So the years or the months before that, I was on my way to having my own business. So for quite a long time, I have always been able to use my time freely. Of course, a workshop here and there, or an appointment here and there. But apart from that, I always decide every day what I use my time for. And there's something really interesting I found during the years because I'm a person like when I have a goal, when I have a project, I just set my mind to it and then I go do the work without any break or without ever stopping. And what I learned from the first years that sometimes when it was so intense, the work was intense, the transformation was intense, the results were intense, I got a cold or I felt sick after a while. So I thought, okay, if you want to be in business and stay in business in a healthy way, why not do things in block times? So I started scheduling more relaxation into my schedule, more vacation as well. Of course, that's what you can do with more time freedom and also financial freedom. That really depends on your state of being when you run your own business. But over time, I have learned that I can focus the best and I can move forward the best when I work in block times. So I decided to do twice a year, I do a 90-day action plan and I choose a particular goal for that I want to achieve in those 90 days. And then at least 4 hours a day, but I've also done 12 to 14 hours a day. So when I set my mind to something, I really go for it. That's because I have that time freedom. It might be that you still work and you have a project like, for example, last autumn. In my last autumn 90-day action plan, I wrote my first book and released it. And that was a lot of looking up things, of course, writing and then formatting the whole thing, marketing the whole thing. So that was quite an exciting project. And I set those 90 days and said, okay, I've never published a book, I've never written a book. Within those 90 days, I will have that book released and people can hold it in their hands. That was one of my projects. So today is day one of my next 90-day action plan because I learned that times of relaxation are as important as times of full action. Because just imagine when you work hard all the time, it might be that you get burned out, or like in my case, you get a cold and then for 10 days you just lie in bed and can't do anything. I know the first times when I got that cold, when I was in full action, I even tried to do something out of my bed. So my body was lying there, really exhausted, and I got my laptop there and I tried to keep working. And something amazing happened that in that moment, I couldn't really lift my arms. It was so exhausting that even while lying down in bed and trying to lift my arms because I wanted to keep writing, it didn't work. It's amazing. Sometimes we get shown things, and out of that, I developed my rhythm that every spring and every autumn, I do a 90-day action plan. I set my goal for that, and then I go into full action. My family and my friends, they already know it that during that time, I'm really busy. I'm not really up for that casual meeting or doing a big hobby during that time. That is really the time of focus. And something interesting happens when you focus on something for 90 days. 90 days is one of the most successful time slots for completing important projects, especially bigger projects. So something interesting happens. For example, when you learn something new, your whole state and your brain waves, even your brain waves, are in a state of learning. Usually, I know in my first years of entrepreneurship, I was learning so much. I was going to every conference, doing all kinds of online courses, and I was constantly in learning mode. So I thought, okay, there must be another mode. Now that I've learned so much, let's go into action mode. And indeed, your brain waves, they change in frequency when you go into action mode. In the beginning, you might have to kind of motivate yourself in the first days, and then it just pulls you. Again, something interesting happens. So many interesting things happen. It's such a personal development journey, these 90 days, and because it's so intense, you work on the project in such an intense manner, you get to your own inner obstacles a lot quicker, a lot more intense, and you can overcome them because you are in action mode anyway. You cannot take like 3 days off because you feel sorry for yourself that something didn't work out right. No, you just continue going into that action. And what's really interesting, I think I'm in the 90-day action plan number 8. I think it's number 8 because I've made it a habit to do that twice a year, because each time I can move forward so much on the different levels, be it on the project or my personal life, or there's always some transformation happening. And when you've done it once, at least once, when you started the second time, it's really, you don't have to drag yourself into it, but you really get excited by envisioning that goal, by already feeling how it feels when you have achieved it. And then that kind of vision really starts to pull you. And that's what happened this time as well. Every time before I go into the 90 days, I do a 21-day mindset transformation. There's a special protocol. I used it from one of my coaches, special transformation protocol, where I really set myself like the mindset and what I feel. It's like on a train ride, when you set the way and the train goes right or left. That's what you can do inwardly to attract the right results during those 90 days. So that's what I've done for the last 21 days. And something amazing happens, that this vision, and when you start to remove obstacles, it really starts to pull you. You already feel that energy before actively going into those 90 days. And that's really the fun thing about it, because I felt it a few days before. And one of my goals for these 90 days is to go live for you every day. So if you've watched a few of my videos, you know I often do things in a fragrant way. So if you have any kind of questions about relaxation or mindset, or, you know, my first book, The Fragrant Points on Your Feet, is about the different points and how you can strengthen your body. You can also take a look on my website, livefragrantly.com. And if there's any question you have for me in the field of wellness, in the field of personal transformation, in the field of essential oils, please write it in the comments for me or send me a message, so that in one of those videos I can directly address your question and give you a nice wellness application or a nice fragrant application. And there's one more thing I always do before I start into the 90 days, and that is I call it the build your dream test. You know, I do things in a fragrant way because sometimes we really, especially as women, we try to overthink things and trying to make them perfect, trying to overthink, so we get stuck in our minds. And then we try to solve the problem in our minds, and sometimes it works, sometimes not. So what I use is the power of fragrance, the power of essential oils, because your sense of smell, when you smell something, it completely bypasses your thinking. You don't have to think about it, but you immediately have like a visual image right before your inner eye, or you have a certain feeling, a certain memory, because your sense of smell is directly connected to your limbic system. So I use special oil blends to help motivate myself, to help to keep doing it, because 90 days is not always like a lot of fun and sunshine every day, but it's also like going through a desert. You know, on some days you just don't feel like it. On some days you would just love to give up because not the right results show, or you just don't feel like it. Things like that happen. So during those 90 days, I'll give you a little bit of feedback, taking you on my journey, and maybe you have a project which you want to take to do your own 90 days in this autumn, where you set your goal and work on it 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours a day in a concentrated way. And what I do before that, apart from the 21-day mindset transformation, is always that build your dream test. So without thinking about it or without lying to myself, I use my sense of smell, and there's a special oil blend called Build Your Dream, and I take a drop of that. And in the past, I've made interesting experiences with this oil blend. It smells a little bit of flowers, a little bit, I think there's blue lotus in it as well, if I remember correctly. And that's a very deep oil plant with very deep qualities when it comes to connecting to yourself. So I take a drop on my hand and place it on my spiritual heart. And then I just take a moment to take this wonderful fragrance in. So if you have built your dream, you can do it with me. If you don't have built your dream, you have to write to me and I'll send you a fragrant letter, because that's the one you shouldn't miss. That's one of the tests if you are building your dream, or if it really stinks for you. And there are some obstacles along the way, very often inner obstacles. And that's really a test you can do. So let's take a minute to smell it. Just breathe in and out of your fragrant hands for a moment. Just observe what kind of feelings come up, what kind of pictures come up. Just let the fragrant oil just unfold itself on your hands, on your spiritual heart. You know, the first time I smelled it, I was at a crossroads in my life, and it really was stinky for me. And whenever an oil gets stinky for me, I take on the challenge and I use it every day. Because that was a point in my life. If you know my story a little bit, you know that I studied medicine for 6 years. And when I was about halfway through, I started my own business. And I started it successfully so I could live from it. In the last video I did for you live here, I told you about the best moment of my studies, that situation with my parents. That was really cool. And at that point in time, when I realized I could live from my own business and I didn't need to study anymore, I didn't need to go to the hospital and then take a look at what I was doing. And I knew I didn't want to become a doctor. But so from my heart, I knew what was fulfilling to me. And I knew how I could bring the light back to people's eyes when they reconnect to their body, when they reconnect emotionally, when they reconnect to their state of wellness. So I know what I wanted to do, and I felt it deep in my heart. But from my head and from the pros and cons, should I leave the studies, should I not leave it? should I go this path or not? I was kind of at a crossroads. And at that time, the Build Your Dream test, just smelling it, it was really stinky for me. So I took on the challenge and said, okay, right, sometimes time will tell, you know. I had many conversations with my parents and my friends and other people. And, you know, during the time, it was very interesting that the law of attraction always works for us or to show us something. That while giving the workshops, many people came to me and said, oh no, you want to give it all up, 6 years of study, are you crazy? And once I had made up my mind, that was a situation where I was sitting on the train about to waste time in another seminar of something I didn't want to do anyway, then I decided to leave it and to just pursue my own business, where my heart was, where I know I could help the most people. And at that time, this oil blend, Build Your Dream, started to smell very good for me. It was amazing. I didn't do anything like think about it, or I just changed one thing on the outside. And that is why I call it the Build Your Dream test, which you can do to know if you yourself put obstacles in front of you, inner obstacles, or you might not have decided yet on your path. That can really help you to reconnect with yourself via your sense of smell. There's a lot happening. And then you can really reconnect to your intuition as well and feel your heart again about what you really want to do. So take this test. If you have built your dream there and are starting the 90 days with me, then do the Build Your Dream test and work with it for 30 days if it stinks for you, and see what happens. It's amazing what happens sometimes, and sometimes nothing happens. So, and if you don't have it, then really send me a message and I put a drop for you on a card, and then I send you a fragrant letter. And that's a very interesting thing to do. And I'm looking forward to what you experience with this kind of test and what kind of project you take on for the next 90 days, which for 2 to 4 hours a day, or if you have a longer time, you can work on it more intensely. What kind of project do you want to get fulfilled within the next 90 days? Today is day 1 for me, and I will certainly take you on this journey, the ups and downs of the 90 days and the transformation and insights. So stay tuned here on my YouTube channel and on Facebook, and then you can be with me on this 90-day journey. If you take on the project of your own, let me know how you're doing. Let me know what kind of project you are doing, because then we can also support each other, because it's always fun to do that in a group. All right, with that said, day 1, I'm really excited, and I'll be for you live every day again, and I'm looking forward to that as well. And I'll see you tomorrow in the next live video. Bye bye.